I don't know where I'm going. I don't know if you're coming too.
Alright, so we've come to the final day of this project, and I have a finished song, which is nice because that's what I plan to do. So we are going to start in the sequencer here, because, well, there's no better place to start. And here you can see all the different tracks, and what you'll notice is that I've labeled these vocal tracks and these guitar tracks, but they're all over the place, and there are multiple splices, and the reason why I've done that is because I wanted pretty much perfect audio, or as perfect as I could get, so I ended up punching a bunch of stuff in, like this track here, which I then fade out and then fade the regular track back in, and I do that a lot, just to make everything smooth. So if you're wondering why everything looks fragmented, that is why. Now, before I go any further, I should point out that all these tracks here, which you see muted with the red M, are not actually going to be present in the final song, because they are either backup tracks in the case of these, where I've put old audio clips that I didn't want to necessarily delete, but didn't really need. They're either those clips, or they are just random ideas that I had that didn't really work out. Such as, I tried to do a piano there, it didn't go so well. With that said, let's go over to the mixer. So here are all the different tracks I have, and I've got my maracas left and right. I've got my 4 different guitar tracks, but these are the left guitar tracks and the right guitar tracks. I've got my 3 vocal tracks, which are all down the center, and I have my bass and I have my synths. So all those tracks together make up the song. Now, one thing I should talk about briefly is the subject of panning, because here you can see I've panned the synth and left and right all the way out to the left and the right. So they're positive 100 and negative 100. And the maracas I've panned, well, they were panned equally, now they're not. I've panned them far out to the left and right as well. Because I think that the percussion sounds really good when it's at the periphery of the song. Same with the synths, because they are a very smooth tone, and they can kind of broaden the sound field without you really noticing it. So we got 2 contrasting things there, the percussive maracas and the very smooth synths, both panned really far out to the left and right. Now the guitar is slightly different because it's panned out to the left and right, but not very much. It's panned about 40, which means that it will sound like it's kind of about 45 degrees off center when you're listening to it. And the reason why I have 4 tracks here, this explains why I didn't actually end up showing you the process of recording the guitar, is that each of these tracks, which you can see in the sequencer here, wait, right there, these are not the same track, as you can see from the differences in the waveform, because these are 2 different takes. Now they're close enough that they sound like they're playing in parallel, but they avoid the effect whereby 2 of the same sound panned out to the left and right will still sound like they're coming from the center, which is called summing. So it's avoiding that effect and keeping them off to the left and right because of small tonal differences and rhythmic changes. Now the vocals I've left right down the center because that's kind of just the convention, and same with the bass. So that's pretty much panning in a nutshell there. Now let's go over to the rack, because what I've learned has mostly applied to effects, whether it be insert or send effects. Now about that, here are my send effects right under the master section, and for my vocals I've lowered the low end and brought up the top end a little bit while augmenting 2 kilohertz to kind of make it cut through the mix, and getting rid of some annoying boxy frequencies. I've added a little reverb, so this send increases the presence and the shimmer of the vocal a little bit. After that, I have the guitar send, which I am selectively compressing the frequencies here, which are mostly frequencies like when you slide your fingers across the guitar strings, it makes a kind of screeching sound. That occurs right in this peak. So I wanted to get rid of that. So I'm selectively compressing those frequencies with this compressor using a side chain. And then I'm rolling off the low end afterwards to kind of make the tone a little brighter. After that, I have a reverb device for other instruments and a delay device for a bunch of different instruments. And that's to kind of put it all in the same room. So here is the guitar, and as you can see, they're all the same devices, so I'll only focus on one. The guitar here it rolls off the low end so it doesn't conflict with the bass, and then I've added a little peak here at 6 kilohertz roughly to add shimmer to the tone, and I've increased the top end just a little bit. This equalizer gets rid of a really annoying feedback resonance here. I don't know where that came from, but I got rid of it. So they all do that. They all do the same thing. The percussion I haven't done much to. I've just rolled off the low end because a maraca has a bright tone and doesn't really need any sort of thump or kick. Now for the vocals, what I've done is I'm selectively compressing the sibilants, which occur in this double peak here, which goes up to about there. So it's a very high peak at about 10 kilohertz. So it gets rid of a lot of sibilants, which I have a lot of. So it's good that I have this capability. Otherwise, it would be kind of ear splitting. So that's what this whole section is for. And then all these vocal tracks go to the voice send up here to gain presence and shimmer and beauty and stuff. So that's all for my audio tracks. Now for my virtual instruments, the piano is kind of defunct because, as you can see, it's mute. I tried it, didn't work. The bass, I've done something interesting with. Instead of just EQing and compressing it, I'm actually using a bass amp here made by Softtube. It's a bass plugin. That's really nice because it allows me to get a bunch of power behind the sound without having any crunchiness or a lot of drive. So it keeps it very smooth, but still maintains the power. This amp below it is bypassed, so though it's there, it's not actually functional. I was kind of choosing between the two, and I didn't take the time to get rid of that. The synth here, I'm compressing just a little bit to bring up the presence, and I'm stereo imaging it to give it a little more width. As you can see, as I pointed out earlier, in the mixer, whoops, wrong thing. I've panned these out all the way to the left and the right, and to kind of achieve that effect and make sure they're separated, I've added reverb and delay. And actually an interesting thing with this delay is that I'm able to pan the delay to the left and the right. So these synths will kind of, as they're going, go between the left ear and the right ear and move about, which is a nice effect. So the synth, that's not a very major part of the song, but it does add a little bit of kind of quote-unquote dreaminess to the very edge of the soundstage, which is a nice effect. So that's what I've done in the rack, and I think that concludes our project. I'm going to do a little bit of mastering maybe. I might do very light compression on the song just to bring up the volume, but I'm not going to do anything major. But I think that's it from me, because this is the end of the 2 weeks, and I think I've come up with something I can be proud of, and I'm definitely sure that I've learned a lot. I didn't understand half of the plugins, inserts, effects, sends. I didn't understand any of that before this started, and now I do. So that's a very nice thing. So I will post this song to Soundcloud, and I'll put the link in the description. Now, once again, thank you for watching.
But something I'm sure of is that I won't forget all of you. It's a long time we've been together.